So, well, let's talk about sculpting. Sculpting is something that's still relatively new to me and my repertoire. And when I say relatively new, it's something I've only been doing for about a couple of years now. It's not something I grew up really. I grew up doing it with like Play-Doh or like clay and things like that, but like with like tools and doing what I'm doing right now, and trying it on this level, this is only kind of a recent thing, and teaching myself to this level. So what I'm sharing with you is just kind of where I'm at in my learning and my skills. So this is the paper mache face that I've created. You saw in the previous video, Perry's a little anxious today, so she may have some things to add to the video today. So just be on the aware of that. Anyway, so what I do, the process here, my paper mache is mostly dry. So I might dip my tool in a little bit of water, sometimes in a little bit of Mod Podge, just to kind of keep it from coming completely unglued. But today I'm so far only using water, and kind of gently working at some of these kind of craters, and kind of working at smoothing out some areas that I wanted smoothed out. You can see this is where one page kind of went over to the other, and so I'm kind of smoothing out where that overlap is. And then I'm kind of creating you can use your tool and kind of scratch at, you can put enough water on and use your tool and kind of scratch at the surface and create kind of a little bit of a paper mache goop, if you will, that you can use to kind of smooth over that edge. And I'm not really working really hard to scrape at that. After it gets, a little wet in some of those areas, it just kind of comes up on its own, and you kind of spread the goop around. And just when you want to smooth out something, you can kind of press down really hard if you need to smooth out. But for the most part, you can kind of gently kind of rub things in. I like to leave some craters and rough spots of interest, just because, that's just me and how I like things. I like to leave some of that just to add interest. But other areas I'll work on a little bit more and smooth over, so that it creates that line for the eye to follow. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now, with sculpting out this face and how I sculpt out. And I've already gone through with my pencil and kind of created these lips to kind of give myself an eye guideline of, like, okay, these are your lips. Because I created the raised lips with the sorry, my brain went blank. With the paper mache, I created those raised cheeks and the raised lips and the raised nose and all of that. But sometimes going through with your pencil and kind of creating those lines of the face to kind of give yourself a visual idea of where things are, So when you're coming back and you're actually doing your sculpting, it makes it a little bit easier to um, know where you're going to go and put in more details. So that's why I've gone in with the pencil here, and I haven't decided if I'm going to paint it or not. I'm kind of digging the lack of paint on it, but I don't know. I'll keep working on this part of it, and then when I'm completely done with the whole thing, I'll decide, you know, whether or not I want paint on it at that point. We'll see. So that's, yeah. At this juncture, we're at the sculpting part where I'm just using the flat side of the smoothing side of this tool to just smooth out some of these kind of rough craters that you see that were caused during the kind of putting on of the paper mache. And of course it's going to blend in some of that graphite. That's okay, it happens. So it's going to cause some discoloration. I kind of want that to happen a little bit. I'm okay with that happening. If you're not okay with the graphite happening, you can come in and erase or paint or make some changes yourself. That's completely up to you. I'm cool with it. So, you know, you're the artist of your own work, so you can make those choices for yourself. But for me, I'm cool with these things. So I'm just kind of adding some roundness to that bottom lip as I come down to the chin. And you see I'm just smoothing that out. And the reason I'm contemplating not painting this is because I'm kind of digging those words on that. So, yeah. This is a way of using paper mache to sculpt. If you're not, I rarely go out and buy clay. Paper mache is cheaper, and I mean, frankly, paper mache is just free. So why buy clay when paper mache is free and I could just make it out of my junk mail or scraps of other projects that I come across. And if I want to sculpt something, I can just make some paper mache and sculpt. So you see I just got some more water there and just dumped on that with the end of my tool. And see, just to kind of make everything here kind of nice and wet and easier to work with. And just spread that around, which reanimated this whole section that had been dry. That's okay. I wanted that to happen, so I can just make this easier to work with. You can also do this when your paper mache is still wet before it ever dries the first time. That's completely up to you. I find it easier to hyper focus on one section at a time and to kind of see how it dries. Sometimes I like it the way it dries the first time and I just leave it alone. You can also come in and add more paper mache. So seeing how it dries the first time and seeing how it goes is really a good idea before you come in. And see, I might add some more glue to that because it's kind of coming up. I might come in with some more Mod Podge to that just to make sure that it stays with its friends. So we'll probably come through with some Mod Podge at this point to help facilitate that staying down. But in the meantime, I'm going to work on it a little bit and make it a little bit mushier. Let's see. gonna make this whole section a little bit mushier, just so I can smooth it out some more. And I'll use some of that as kind of like sandpaper a little bit to kind of work and smooth. I'm not aiming for perfection because human faces are not perfect, and that's what makes them all beautiful and unique. So I'm not aiming for some perfection here. So I'm using that piece that came up as a little bit like sandpaper to kind of work into some of these crevices that I've got going on. And again, I can always come back in with some Mod Podge and glue him back, or glue him in. But I really just, I'm enjoying his usefulness as sandpaper right now. I don't know why I genderize things. That's probably very problematic. I'm sorry if it is. It's just, it's a habit I have and probably should. Yeah. So I think that one there is caused by the edge of this paper coming, yeah. So we're gonna come back in and glue some. So don't feel like you have to. You can already see a difference there. Yeah, there we go. Some Perry hair got in with the mix. Sometimes I leave Perry hair because, you know, it helps that the texture of her hair kind of helps create some friction in that and some little sandpaper qualities. Say that rubbing, so I leave it sometimes, but I will push all of that back into that divot so that I can come back in with some. Yeah, let's get some more water into that mix. And we'll get some more glue into that later. So I'm just kind of gently going along and places that I want, like right here, I might leave that. I kind of like that weird looking texture. It's inhuman and just weird, and I like it. So I'm going to leave it, I think. Come in with some more water up here. Do some smoothing under that lip. So you can get these tools at, I got these at the craft store. These were the cheapest metal set that they had. I hate plastic. I hate the feel of it. I hate the quality of it. It's junk. And I hate what it does to the planet. So I will almost always go to metal over plastic. But, so this is the cheapest metal set that I could find, and they've been a great help to me, and you'll see these tools show up in many of my arts. So they've been very useful. They've been a really great purchase. But sometimes I'll have to do things to make them more useful in other ways, like wrap them up in cloth or whatever to make them more easily to grasp with my mobility issues or whatever, but we haven't had to do that lately. Thankfully. I've been managing my pain very well lately. Anyway, just doing some smoothing under here. See how that's just smoothing out so nicely. I really should stop fluffing with that. It's going to get worse if I don't. Come in with some glue. And you kind of learn as you go along of, you know, what works for you, what doesn't work. Kind of be a scientist and, you know, how much water do I need, or how much, you know, force do I need? Which ingredients work better for me? If I mixed in, you know, paint to my mixture, how would that look? You are in total control of how this comes out, you know, what materials you get to use, what materials you have available to you. If you're looking for like old books, I find a lot of mine in those like little free libraries. Those Reader's Digest compilation books tend to really work out as art fodder, and they tend to be in pretty bad shape when I find them. So those are always a good option to use as art fodder. Old magazines are good. Junk mail is, I mean, most of us get junk mail every day, so you can use that. News, like, if you have old newsprint around that you're not going to be able to use elsewhere, I even save, like, envelopes and stuff that I get in the mail. Things like that are really good to use for paper mache. Really anything that you have that you can tear up, mix in water, you know, and reuse for this sculpting process is perfect for this. Go for it. You have the ability and the power to do this. It's like, this is not a, I know some people think that, you know, art is only for people with money, and I think that is complete BS, and I'm just gonna call it out. It is complete trash and not true. And I want you to challenge that thought and challenge those notions that you've been told of, oh, well, this is only for, you know, people who have been to art school. This is only for people who have, you know, I hate the word talent. It is it's a gatekeeping word. Art is a skill that everyone has and everyone can hone and develop. You are an artist. You are capable of honing this skill and making art. So I challenge you to go out, watch a couple of the videos I've already posted if you haven't already. Find some tools around your house that will work for you, for your, you know, your abilities, your skill levels. They do not have to be fancy art tools. They do not have to be, I mean, if you have a butter knife, you already have a sculpting tool. The Dollar Tree, Five Below, both are really great resources for arts, supplies that are affordable. I mean, I am just amazed at their art supplies. If you want to get into sculpting, paper mache is a perfectly viable, reasonable sculpting tool. If you get the consistency to your liking, I mean, it doesn't have to be a fancy clay that you've gone out and, you know, purchased at a craft store. It can be just paper mache. And as we created yesterday, or well, I created some yesterday in a video and posted. But yeah, this is paper mache that I'm working with now, and as you can see, it is easily sculptable and easily workable, and it can be done. And again, if you have a butter knife at your house, you have a sculpting tool. So I feel like the gatekeeping of art and, you know, who can be an artist and what is considered art, it just needs to end. It needs to stop. I agree, Perry. So go out and get a bunch of junk mail. I'm gonna go help Perry calm down, and so I hope that you have a wonderful day. I hope you are able to create something magical, just like you are, as you are an artist and you are magical. And I hope you share it with me over on Lady Sky Creations Facebook group page. I get excited when people share their art over there. I have also on my website, ladyskycreations.com, I've started posting Amazon links to different art supplies that I use, just in case you're interested or kind of want to know, like, what is that she's using. These tools are not on there. I'll try to find something that's similar, because I did not buy these from Amazon. And so I'm going to try to keep that up to date. And let's see. Oh, you can also find more art on Instagram, Lady Sky Creations over on Instagram. And I think that's everything I wanted to update you guys on. What's going on with all the Lady Sky Creations social media. I have not yet learned to link anything. I am trying to learn. If you know how and you want to, like, try to explain it to me, like, and help me, I would be ever so grateful. But I am learning. I'm learning how to do different, like, things with the video editing and such. So thank you for being patient with me while I'm learning with that. Thank you for being here and watching. Thank you for, you know, sharing your art and being vulnerable enough to share your art with me. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Much love to you. And thank you again for watching and liking and subscribing and all of those things. Much love.